good afternoon, precious ones, and welcome back once again to Recanlily's kitchen. If you are new, I'm Nana Bnayan. Today we are going to make fresh blended peanut spinach stew. The ingredients are as listed. Most of the time we use melon seed that we called it in Ghana agushi, Nigerian call it Egusi. But when it comes to Mama Dora, everything is possible. So if she can't get egusi or agushi or the melon seeds, she always use fresh blended peanuts. So that is what we are going to use today. You can use any ingredient of your desire. Remember, the salt and pepper is always according to your taste. With a cooking pot on a medium high heat, I place on a cooking pot and then pour in the meat and season it with some mixed spices, which is curry powder, crushed black pepper, thyme, cumin, and I add a little bit of cayenne pepper. You can use any season or spices of your desire. And I added water. I added about 2 deciliters water because this meat needs to be cooked very well before I use for the stew. You can always use any meat and fish of your desire. If you are a vegetarian, you can use vegetables only. So I boiled the meat for about 30 minutes. Then I added the chicken, the fresh chicken. And I'm going to allow it to boil for about 15 minutes. So this is 15 minutes later. I stir it. 20 minutes later, I added leftover chicken. It was in the fridge, so I want it also to be little warm. So I mix it with the one I'm boiling. And I'm going to simmer this for about 10 minutes. It is ready, so I have placed it aside. So with a clean blender cup, I pour in the peanuts. This is washed and soaked peanuts. I soak these peanuts overnight and I wash it in the morning and I throw the water away. And then there is little water under the peanuts. That's why I'm taking my time to pour in the peanuts in the blender. If you don't want the skin, you can always peel it off. I added water, about 2 deciliter water, to help the peanut blend well. I add a little bit of salt to taste. If you don't like salt, please you can always skip the salt. I cover the blender and I'm going to blend it until it is smooth and fluffy. So I switch the blender on and then I'm blending it until it is smooth. It has become very thick now. So I'm going to use the blender stick to stir it a little bit so that the top will mix well and blend it. By stirring it, it helps it to blend very well and as fast as possible. I added little bit water again and stir. You can always blend this with a Ghanaian traditional ceramics bowl and then a wooden masher. So it's ready and I'm going to take the down away so that I get a space to work with or to work from. And I'm going to place the blended peanuts aside. We will use it later. With a cooking pot on the stove, I pour about 1 deciliter olive oil and place in or add in chopped onions. I am using only one small chopped onions. You can use as much as you want. It's all according to your preference. I'm going to boil or fry the onions for only 1 minute. After 1 minute, I add in the crushed tomatoes. You can use chopped tomatoes or tomatoes puree and stir. I'm going to cook this for 10 minutes. Ten minutes later, I add in the cayenne pepper, salt to taste. The salt and the pepper is always according to your taste. I then add in the spices. Remember, you can use any spices or season of your desire. I then add in the liquid from the meat we steamed and stir. And I'm going to allow it to cook for some minutes. 3 minutes later, I added the peanuts, the fresh blended peanuts. And I want to make sure everything in the blender go into the cooking pot. I want all from the blender. That is all. And then I'm going to stir it gently. I stir it gently. And it is too thick. When it's too thick and you want to cook it like that, you have to lower the heat to a very, very low heat so that you allow it to cook for about an hour. But I want to add water to help it to cook as fast as possible. So when the water reduces, that means it is almost about to cook. So I stir it, I stir it gently, and I'm going to allow it to cook. So I cover it from it to stop bubbling on the stove. So this is 20 minutes later. You can see all the oil is gone from the surface, or it's gone. It's because it has started cooking. When it starts cooking, the oil, you can't see the oil. It will come back later when it is almost ready. So this is about 45 minutes later. I open it and I'm going to stir it. You have seen that the oil has started coming little by little. By the time the stew is ready, all the oil will come back again. We will get a lot of oil on the surface. So I stir it and I'm going to allow it to cook for some time. I always cover it because I don't want it to bubble or splash or split on the stove. So this is 10 minutes later. I add in the spinach. You can add as much as you want and stir. I then add in the green peas. It was a canned green peas. And you know, most canned green peas look just like this. It's not all that green. Most look like this. It's not all that green. So that is why it has changed color a lot. And then I'm going to stir it. And then I add in the meat we steamed. I add in the meat we steamed and I'm going to mix it very well. You can You can use any meat, sorry, you can use any meat or fish or vegetables of your desire and stir it. And I'm going to allow it to cook slowly for about 20 minutes. The stew is ready. Our stew is ready. The peanut stew is ready. So ready. You can eat this stew with any food of your desire, potatoes, rice, curry, etc.